Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm glad that you all could join us again for another fun workshop talking all about gardening and pretty much everything that we're doing in our garden and all of that. So I'm really excited to see a lot of familiar names and faces already in the chat. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all. I am Carrie. For those of you who have not been here before, my husband and I are the creators of the From Seed to Spoon app from Park Seed, and I'll show you more details about that here in a little bit. But I'm joining you here from Zone 7 in Oklahoma City, and it is a crazy windy day. We were outside just a little bit ago, and I kid you not, like my hair was up, but my hair was still like this. We have gusts like up to 50 miles per hour today. So you can kind of see like in the background, like the trees swaying. It's very, very windy today. So definitely going to be talking to you guys from inside today. Well, welcome everybody. I'm super glad that you all are here, and we are going to be talking all about cover crops today. Hello, welcome. I love seeing where everybody's from, so pop into the chat. Let me know where you all are joining us from. Hi, CJ. I love to see all of the places. It looks like we have a lot of them. Hey, Michelle. Yes, I do have a Seed to Spoon shirt. I know, it's awesome. I had to rock the Seed to Spoon shirt today. Okay. So, just letting you all, for those of you who haven't been in here before, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to be talking all about cover crops today, but I kind of wanted to just introduce myself really quick. So, like I said, my name's Carrie. My husband and I are the creators of Park Seeds from Seed to Spoon app. And we started that back in about 2015, 16. And we had no idea what we were doing in the very beginning whenever we first started gardening. And you can kind of see this was our before picture of our backyard, just a standard Oklahoma backyard with Bermuda grass, not much going on. And we learned a lot along the way. So over a couple years, we turned our entire backyard pretty much over into a bunch of garden beds. We had a bunch of smart pots. We started growing a whole bunch of food for our entire family, and it was amazing. And we had so much to learn along the way. We were dragging out books into the garden, and we did like master gardeners classes, YouTube courses, things like this. And I mean, so much. And we were like, there needs to be an app for that. So Dale, being who he is, was like, well, let's just make it. So he got together with a couple friends, and it was great. Like, we came up with the first version of the app really quick, and along the way it has changed in so much. But it's incredible. So there's a QR code at the very top. You can download it for free if you don't already have it. It'll help walk you through growing over 100 different fruits, vegetables, herbs, flowers, and give you exact planting dates based on your location, companion planting information, organic pest management. And also coming soon too, that third screenshot I have there is that visual garden layout that is actually going to be coming out. I think we are going to be pressing the button to start the rollout release today, this afternoon, and it's going to slowly be working its way out. So be checking your updates, and hopefully you will be having it soon, and you can play around with the new visual layout, start planning ahead, start looking at how you're going to be planting your next gardens. I know it's really fun. I love doing it too. Okay. Oh, you see, I'm always really glad that I put this in here because I always forget to mention, make sure you all are commenting to be entered to win. Oh, and that reminds me too, we have a winner from last week. Okay. You see, I always need these reminders like this. So one winner we're going to have today is a 1 year free premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. along with some of the Park Seed all-purpose cover crop seeds, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And we will have a winner from you guys who are commenting today. We're going to announce that winner at the very end of this live stream. And then also we're going to have another winner for this after the live stream is done. So whenever it's done, it finishes posting up to YouTube. Go back in and comment again if you didn't win, and that way you'll get entered to win for the next drawing. Because so right before this one, I was actually polling a winner from last week's, because last week we talked all about compost, and we had a winner from in there. Let me pull it up. So our winner was somebody who commented on our last live stream after it was posted, and that winner is, so this is the comment right here. I apologize. I don't know, Cavending, something like that. Hopefully I got close to that. Congratulations. And email us at info@seedtospoon.net, and we'll get you set up with your free premium access and be really exciting. So make sure you send us an email, and yeah. And like I said, we'll have another winner at the very end of this live stream too. So don't forget to be commenting and all that. Woohoo. Okay. Cover crops. So this is something that I feel like a lot of people tend to overlook because they just think like, I don't need that. I'm just not going to grow anything this winter, or I'm just going to leave it be. I'm not going to do much. So there's so many reasons to be growing cover crops in your garden. And I'm just going to cover a few of the reasons. Like, I really feel like I could go on and on and on about it. But here's what I felt like the top reasons were, and why I think everybody should consider growing cover crops if they're not going to be growing anything else over the winter. It can really help to improve your soil with nutrients. So we'll go into the details of exactly all of these here in a little bit. But there's certain plants that you can grow that will help to put nutrients back into your soil, which is amazing. So it's kind of like you're fertilizing your soil over the winter without doing anything. So who wouldn't want that, right? Make it easy on yourself and treat your soil right. Also, if it's windy where you are, like here, it is super windy today, and we would be having a lot of soil blown away. So we want to prevent a lot of that from happening. So that would be another huge benefit of doing that as well, is keeping your soil in place. Oh, this is a great question that just came in. So what is a cover crop? So a cover crop is essentially just a plant that you can grow in your soil just to keep it fresh, keep it, going, and give you all of these benefits. I mean, it's essentially like, it's a lot of the plants you're already growing too, just growing in a different way. So things like peas and clover, mustard, radish, turnips, like a lot of those can be considered cover crops. So it's really just growing something to keep your soil fresh and covered during the off season. Other reasons is weed suppression, because I don't know about you guys, but we can have really, really crazy weeds taking over, especially in our off seasons. So weed suppression is another huge benefit. And then also just creating a biodiverse garden habitat for some of your good beneficial friends that you want to be sticking around for you, like the ladybugs. I mean, you want all of them to be around. And then also disease suppression too. So if you had any issues with disease in the past, there's certain plants that you can actually grow that helps the soil out. So there's so many benefits, like I said, that there's so many reasons to do it. Let's see, we have a great question. Can cover crops be grown in between rows of other crops in a small bed, not a field? Yes, for sure. Yes, 100%. So you can grow cover crops however you want to in a small, like in a small raised bed. It can be in a smart pot. It can be in between other things that you're not growing. Really, you can, yes, 100%, you can do anything. You can do anything like clover or buckwheat, or even just things like radish and turnips to help with the soil. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Sorry, I had to take a drink. Okay, another great question. So, doesn't the soil need a chance to rest? So, I will say, I mean, the benefits highly outweigh resting. I mean, we have like, it's very similar to like rotating crops, things like that. But instead of leaving it bare, we're trying to keep it active and healthy and have like preventing erosion, you know, replenishing any nutrients and things like that. So it has a whole bunch of benefits to helping the soil out. So I pretty much never have any sort of open anything. I mean, it pretty much just mimics like what's going on naturally is how I look at it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how and when to plant cover crops. So, whenever I'm going about planting cover crops, I typically will do very, very dense planting. And depending on, especially depending on what it is, but I want that plant to be very densely planted, to be taking over that area. And and I'm going to be doing this like now would be the perfect time. So when all of my summer plants are dying off, if I'm not going to be replacing them with my fall crops or things that I'm going to be growing over winter, now is perfect time to go through and plant some of these crops. So keep your soil healthy and all of that. Um, and if you do have mild winters, I would be planting in the late fall or the early winter time, even as well. Um, but really, there's no wrong time. You can plant at any time as long as, obviously, as long as your soil is workable, you can be planting. Um, but sorry, we have a dog barking in the background. So Dale's looking for the dog. He's on the stairs. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in a live stream. We had a bird fly in one time in a live stream. That was really fun. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that story, but that was like a couple years ago. We had a door open and a bird just flew in, and it was so funny because we were talking about like how to keep birds out of your garden at the time. Like it was so funny. We're talking about pest management. Like yeah. Anyways, sorry, where was I? How to plant cover crops. So, yes, this fall, it is definitely time to go about doing that now. I'm going to be doing that, especially for any areas that I have open, any smart pots that I have open, or raised beds, or even like places that I want to have a garden in the future. That's something that we've done a lot of too, because we had a lot of really old seeds last year. And we wanted to have a new area where we wanted to build a garden. And we're like, let's just toss a whole bunch of these seeds right here and see what happens, you know, and it helps to work out the compact soil, and it helps to just give life to it. So there's so many benefits to doing it. And like I said, throw out old seeds too sometimes. If you don't have any new ones that you want to use out there, or if you don't want to buy anything new, toss out some old ones and see what happens. So, whenever we talked about earlier about the soil that is going to be benefit by fertilizing your soil, essentially, these are the particular ones that I'm talking about, and these are just a few examples of many of them that actually do this. But these are the most common ones. So, peas. So, if you toss out a bunch of peas and let them kind of just grow and do their thing, they will help to bring in nitrogen into the soil over the winter time, and it'll do the job for you. You don't have to do anything other than throw out seeds. Like you don't need to trellis them because you're not going to be like growing them for harvest or anything. You're just going to be growing them to help improve the soil. Clover is another really good option, and fava beans as well too. These are all ones that are going to be nitrogen fixing. So if you have any sort of um, area that you want to improve the soil, then go ahead and do it. Plant one of these out. It's essentially like fertilizing your garden in the wintertime, but you don't have to do it. It's amazing. And I 100% agree with you, Joshua. Clover is gorgeous. And they have here, let me pop it up here. There is this trio cover crop seeds that Park Seed has, and it's like all the different color of clovers too. And I'm like, oh, I need this one because that looks so cool. I love clover. They're so pretty. It's so pretty, and it's always attracting a whole bunch of pollinators too. So I mean, it has so many benefits to your garden and to helping the soil and bringing pollinators and all of that. So again, I highly recommend checking out adding some clover into your garden if you don't already have it. Okay, next, I wanted to talk a little bit about the different grasses that you can use. So, typically, the primary reasons to grow these are going to be for erosion control or improving the soil structure, because once these will help to protect the soil too, because you have something growing in there. It's not gonna the soil's not gonna blow away or go anywhere. But also at the end of the season, whenever you're done with it, it's going to help to bring some organic matter into the soil. You can work it into the soil after they've died off, and there's a lot of things that you can do. It's super helpful. So things like the rye and barley and oats, all of those are going to be ones that are really good to add to large. Or typically, I feel like these are good, like to put into larger areas. But again, you can put this anywhere you want to. If you have a tiny backyard, you can still do it. There's a lot of them. Like you can even just grow this like intermixed like around crops like we were talking earlier. Like if you have some things growing, you want to put some next to it. um, Oats are actually really good too because they can be grown with peas, and the peas can like climb up them as well too. So again, you almost have like a built-in support for the peas as well. So if you grow those two together, that's really good too. So okay. Next, a few of the brassicas that I wanted to mention. These are one, again, that's going to be super helpful for weed suppression and especially for disease suppression. Mustard is an amazing selection for this. And the mustard greens are not only beautiful, I love to look at them. So again, you are bringing almost like an ornamental aspect into your garden by putting some of those in. And it'll help too if you have any sort of history in that bed of any sort of diseases that your plants struggled from. Mustard greens are really going to help. And then kale is another really good option to do. And kale survives really well over the winters, even in a lot of places as well. So kale is something that you could possibly even grow all winter long and maybe even get a harvest from. So you can have kind of like a dual purpose plant there. And then, of course, radish. So even if you don't like the taste of radish, radish still has an amazing function in your garden because it can really help as a cover crop. I mean, it helps in so many different ways too. It also helps to like break up any sort of compact soil. So if you were struggling to grow things in that area because it was too dense, radish will really help to get in there, break it up, make it easier to grow things in there next season whenever you're going in. So these are really great options to, and things that are really good to plant over the winter time. Okay, and then also a few more that we can have for weed suppression, just adding some biodiversity into the ground. And like I said, like if you have a soil compact, like if your soil is compact at all, all of these are amazing. These are probably some of my top picks. I love growing all of these, especially things like peas. And especially once peas start to flower as well, it'll bring in a lot of pollinators too. So again, you have that habitat for a lot of your animals. I say animals, the beneficial critters that you want to be having around. Those ones are really good right there. And then again, mustards for sure are going to be one of the best cover crops that you can do. And then turnips again, just like radish, they'll help to break up any soil structure, things like that. And then, of course, I already did mention actually one of these mixes that I like to do. So I really like to do just a mixture of things too, because I like to have a bunch of different benefits in the garden. So this first picture right here is just an all-purpose cover crop seed mix, which is actually what we're doing in the giveaway today. So if you guys haven't commented in the chat, make sure you do, because every time you comment, you'll be entered in to win some of these seeds right here, these all-purpose cover crop seed mix, and then also a free 1-year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. And what's amazing about these is that it's super easy to just go through and just toss these seeds out, and you have a mixture of all sorts of cover crops. So you have a little bit of peas, you have a little bit of clover, you have a little bit of like a little bit of everything, and it's amazing. So you get all of the benefits of cover crops that we've talked about today. So like the weed suppression, erosion control, fixing the nitrogen in the soil, all of that. Like there's so many benefits. So that this is one of the easiest ways you can go through. You don't have to pick and choose which, like one or the other. You can just go through and toss this one packet out. So that's definitely one that's super helpful. And then also there is this other one next to it, which was the oats and peas mix, which I talked a little bit about it earlier whenever I mentioned oats to begin with. So my favorite way to grow these ones is together, actually, because they work in conjunction, and they are like the oats will grow up and here, let me so the oats will grow up, and then the peas can grow and intertwine around them, and you won't have to trellis at all. You don't have to worry about anything. I mean, it's super helpful. You just have them all together. So again, I really like this because it's all in one and makes it easy. I'm all for making things easy for you, especially with cover crops, because I feel like the purpose of cover crops is to make things easier for you in the future. So in the springtime, it's going to make it way easier for you. You will have soil that's healthier. You'll have soil that's there too. So there's just so many benefits, and any way you can make it easier on yourself, I highly recommend doing that. So different things that you'll need to do with maintaining, and then we'll talk a little bit about terminating your cover crops in the springtime. And then I had to include a cute picture of chickens on the bottom, which we will get to. So I will say, I highly ever have to water or take care of the cover crops. It's very little maintenance, especially over the winter time. You don't have to water quite as much. So just very minimal watering, caring for it. And then once it gets the winter time, I mean, you can just let it die off. So that's what I mean over here by like winter kill. So you can just let the winter come in and kill it all over, leave it there. And then whenever it comes into the spring, you can either mow over it, or you can go through and till it into the soil and add some of that organic matter into the soil. A lot of what I do too is I have like chickens and things like that. I know not everybody is lucky enough to have chickens where where they are. But I am lucky to have chickens and all sorts of fun animals. So, but the chickens are really good helpers. If I don't have anything else that I'm worried about them eating, I will let them go in and I'll let them till it up. Like they essentially like go in there, they'll start scratching it up and they will terminate it for me essentially. So super helpful. If you have that option, definitely take advantage of it. If you don't, I'm sorry. I wish you did. But it is easy enough just to till them back into the ground at the end of the season, or just like I said, mow them over. Just simply mow them over. If your winters don't get cold enough to kill them or anything like that, I mean, just mow it and till it in. Okay. So let's answer a few questions from everybody. So Michelle says, I'm thinking of scattering cilantro seeds along the garlic that I'm planting. Any thoughts? I love that. Yes, for sure. I do that. I do this all the time. I mean, we can never grow enough cilantro and we eat it all the time, but it is definitely something that we tend to toss around as well. And it replants itself a lot, like super easy as well. So I definitely love this idea. We do this. Okay. When growing those cover crops like kale for winter, do you need to have them covered or insulated in their bed? So we typically tend to do this because we have oh, I wish we had a picture. Let me see if I have a picture. I don't think I do. We have these PVC dome hoop houses that we built, and oh, thanks, Dale. He says he popped up a QR code up there. So we do have a PVC dome hoop house that we made ourselves to protect and insulate our plants. So that way we can grow a lot of these things over the winter and we don't have to worry about things like ice storms or if we have a lot of snow or fluctuating temperatures, things like that. But that being said, I grow them. I do that just because I want to make sure that they're okay, but it's not necessary. You don't have to have them covered, especially if you're doing it as a cover crop and it's not 100% essential for them to survive over the winter if you're just doing it as a cover crop. But they may still, I mean, depending on where you are at, a lot of the times like kale doesn't even need to be covered in order to live through the winter because it comes from the super cold area. It loves the cold. It thrives. Okay. Hi, Wendy. Okay. Late to join. Can we just add cardboard on top when not growing in it if we don't use cover crops? Also, can cover crops be used on a bed with dormant plants or bulbs? So, yeah, you definitely could just add cardboard on top if you're not growing in it. That will help with the erosion and preventing some of the soil from blowing away. But you won't get like the nitrogen fixing or disease suppression or like breaking up compact soil or any of the other benefits that it really brings in and bringing life to your soil. But that being said, I mean, you can definitely do that still too. Okay, so Alex says, I'm in Philly and finally took down tomatoes and peppers. Should you use old vines and plants for soil regeneration? So, as long as the plants were healthy and not diseased at all, we put them back into the compost bin. And that way we'll have that breaking down for us over the winter time. And then we'll be able to add that into the soil too and come the spring. And if you missed more on compost, we did a live stream last week about compost where we talked all about like getting started with composting and making it easy. So check that out if you missed it. Missy says she's growing mustard to eat. Who knew I have a cover crop? I know, right? Like it's amazing. Like I said in the beginning, like a lot of these are plants you're probably already growing. So, I mean, just grow it more, right? Okay, should I add new soil to my garden? So I never add full new soil to the garden, but we do add compost to our garden whenever we go in, every new planting season. So I will add like a fresh batch of compost just to give more life to the soil, especially once things kind of start looking a little towards the end of the season. I'll add more compost, give a little life to it. Joe says, I used winter peas as a cover crop last winter. Awesome. Green manure rules for sure. When the spring hit, I mowed it down and integrated it back into the soil. Absolutely. That is perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about here. So this is amazing that you already have had the experience of doing that. Um, Missy says if it's past the growing date, for example, kale, is it worth tossing out to try for a cover crop? Absolutely. Yes. 100%. We do this all the time. I mean, we tend to push the dates anyways, but I feel like it's definitely warmer than usual right now. I mean, it's like in the, what is it, 70s right now, 80s? I don't know. It has been a lot warmer this year than normal. And I think it's like that most places, but we are going to be getting cooler soon. But even so, like I definitely recommend just giving it a try. Just toss it out. The worst that could happen is that it will only grow like, they'll just be small plants that you'll get instead of the larger ones. So I would definitely recommend doing that. Okay, CJ says for cover crops, do you just till the soil, then toss the seeds? Yeah, I mean, that's as simple as it is. Like I talked about in the beginning, I tend to plant these very dense. So I don't like go in and I don't do like square foot gardening or anything like that whenever I'm doing cover crops. I literally just toss the seeds out. I sprinkle them through and cover those areas that I want to, be planted. So I'm not doing a lot of like going in an intense planting, like literally just tossing seeds. Patricia says, would you ever use a cover crop on large containers? Yeah, for sure. We do this all the time on our smart pots, on our raised beds, everywhere. We essentially do like microgreens sometimes too. We one year, it was in the fall, we had a whole bunch of broccoli seeds. I'm like, let's try some broccoli microgreen seeds outside. So we like, and just like microgreens. So we tossed it and we let it grow. And then we started like harvesting from it and just eating it as microgreens too. Cause I was like, you can have, I feel like it's so helpful because there's so many ways you can use this microgreens. You can actually eat things. You can actually help your soil. Like there's so many benefits to having cover crops, not just to protect your soil, but you can actually eat a lot of it too. Okay, so SmartPot says we do know of gardeners who have living soil and grow with a cover crop permanently companion planted. Nice. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Karma says I grow in raised beds only and we get below freezing most of the winter. How can I grow a cover crop here? So, if you still have time to plant before it freezes, definitely still get it in there. It might be too late in some areas. I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember where you were. I know you've said it before. I'm sorry. But yes, as long as you have time to plant them before it gets freezing, hopefully it will do okay for you. And we do build a lot of like the DIY PVC dome hoop houses, things like that as well. So maybe look into doing something like that because that again, like those are super simple. They weren't very difficult to make at all. And we got check out Elliot Coleman. Those books, we read a lot of those books whenever we first started, and he's like way up north, and he grows year round, and like all of the time. So he has a lot of amazing tips. So Michelle says, "Do you till in the brassicas?" Yeah, you definitely can. You can do it either way, however you want to handle it. You can mow them, you can till it in to your soil, you can let your animals eat it like we do. um, or you can add it into your compost bin. There's a lot of things that you can do at the end of the season. So Ginger says you can cut it at the base of the plant and then use it as mulch, chop and drop. I like that suggestion. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Ginger, for sure. Okay, Joe says for cover crop, can I broadcast mustard seeds or space them apart? So definitely, you can definitely just broadcast them. Just go out and start tossing. They don't need to be perfectly spaced, especially if you're just growing them as cover crops. I feel like whenever they're perfectly spaced, that's more for if you're actually growing them to harvest and things like that, because you don't want them too crowded. You'll interfere with how big they get. But for cover crops, you don't really care about all that. Just start tossing. Okay, are cover crops only for winter when your garden is sleeping, or would I benefit from this in South Florida where we don't get a serious frost? So, not necessarily winter. I mean, it can be at any time of the year, just anytime you're not growing anything in your garden. So, and like I said, a lot of this was geared towards winter, but there are summer cover crops as well too. So if you're not growing in like the heat of the summer, there's a lot of things that you can grow as cover crops for the summertime as well. So as we just make sure that our soil's never super bare is the biggest thing. Okay, Todd says, are cover crops necessary in tall raised beds? I mean, it's like I said, this is not necessary, but it is super beneficial, especially for, I mean, I say that, but I feel like for raised beds, especially, this is really great for windy days like I have right now, preventing that soil from blowing away. If nothing else, it's going to help keep your soil in place and you won't lose as much during the off season. Also, it'll help to just bring life into your soil too. So you won't have to add like quite as much fertilizers or compost the next time you go in to plant it out. So I would definitely recommend it, but it's not required. So Joe says everybody here in chat should have a container of green onions growing. I love it. I agree, Joe, for sure. I love green onions. They are so great, and they're one of the fun, easy things to grow too. We use it in the kitchen all the time. Okay, so let's go in and announce the winner here real quick. We're going to be having a winner today for a 1-year free premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So that is going to include free shipping on all of your orders. And we have all of Park Seeds store in there. So you get free shipping on everything, which is awesome. And then you're going to be able to send unlimited pictures up to Growbot. So we have I don't think I mentioned any of this earlier. I'm sorry, everybody. So we have a Growbot, which is our AI chatbot that you can send pictures to help you identify if you have plant problems or if you have any, like if you forgot what you planted or if you have a pest issue, you can send pictures up and have Growbot help you identify first what it is and how to solve it. So it's been super helpful for me this year. I've been using it a lot. And you have that. You have unlimited plants that you can track in your garden and now visually lay out here very soon as well, and keep track of all of your garden progress. And I could go on and on about it, but this winter will get a free 1-year premium subscription and also the Park Seed all-purpose cover crop seed. So we talked about too. So Dale, do we have a winner to announce? Congratulations, Misty Brown. Congrats. Send us an email at info@seedtospoon.net and we'll get you set up. It's exciting. And like I said earlier too, if you if you still want to win whenever this is done and it gets posted up to YouTube, go back on the video, add a comment on there, because again, like any comment that you put on there is going to enter you for the winner again, because we're doing another one. And we will talk next week all about what you can do in your garden in November. So we'll be here same time, same place next week, and we'll have another winner from you guys. Okay. I think we have a few more questions from you guys. Oh, yay, Misty. Awesome. Okay. Do green onions overwinter outside? Oh, that's a great question. Yes. So we have a lot of green onions that have been growing for years now, I feel like. And they're amazing. I have them just all in their own little pots and they just take over that little pot and grow. They're really great. And if it's not frozen for you outside, definitely plant it now. Give it a try and hopefully it'll do good for you. Okay, Susan says, what's the best cover crop to replace your lawn? So I would definitely mention clover because I love it and it's beautiful. But I will mention that it will attract a lot of bees as well. So if you are, I mean, that's a great thing, but I do understand that some people don't necessarily want to walk over a lot of bee areas. So there's pros and cons to that, but that's definitely what I would recommend. I will say Park Seed has a, Dale, if you can pull it up, Park Seed has a lawn alternative mix that they actually have all together already as a seed packet. That's super interesting. I haven't tried it myself yet, but it sounds really exciting. I'll see if Dale can put a link for you in the chat on that. And now I have him busy, so he's not pulling up another question for me. Do we have any more questions? Okay, I'll see if there's any over here. Oh, there it is. Oh, he hold it up right here. So yeah. Let's see. Clover lawns were, yeah, for sure. A lot of people used to have a lot of clover lawns, and we did a lot of clover too at our last house in the backyard because we had an HOA in the front, and they were very particular. But we did have a lot of it in the backyard, so that was fun. I really liked it. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. And like I said, if you did not get the chance to comment and enter to win, once this is done, go back in and leave a comment for us and be entered in to win, and we will announce that winner again next week. And we are here every single Tuesday here talking gardening and hanging out with you guys, answering questions, so it's always fun. So same time, same place.